All right, guys, let's take our first mailbag question of the night, though. I know we have a lot of guys out there looking for tips. The first one comes from Skibo21. He wants to know, there are tons of plays in my playbook that have Automotion in them. I use the St. Louis book. What are some good ways to best use those plays in my scheme? So Automotion is a fickle beast sometimes because there's some plays that Automotion can almost ruin the play because it requires it to be a good play. Automotion, guys, if you don't know, is obviously when you snap the ball, you have a player automatically motion himself and then go. A good example is like deep fork from the Dallas Cowboys flip trips. Not the deep fork play, but you know the Automotion play. The far outside receivers, he's on a right and then he runs up and runs an out. Some people like that. A lot of the times it ends up just being a drag and you do get a nice inside release on it, but then every time in Automotions you can time the snap. You might only have a certain amount of plays that have Automotion, so they can cue in on kind of what plays you're running. Some of the runs have them, like some of the full house runs have Automotion, and they're not as good as plays that are just kind of basic, and you can always motion yourself. But in some ways, there are Automotion plays that can be great. So we have an example here on PlayStation 3. Let's take a look at one that's an excellent Automotion style play.
This is, how shall I say, I'm going to say it right now. In my opinion, this is one of the pound-for-pound best passing plays in Madden NFL 13. Pound for pound is one of the best plays. And I discovered it based on my opponent in the game of the week a couple weeks ago. If you remember, I forget his name. I don't remember his name, but he was playing me. He used this play, and it was a pain in the neck to defend. Now, this is, for example, is a play that has Automotion. And I talk all the time about picking a play and then just running it and seeing what happens. And, you don't throw the ball, but just kind of run the play, let things develop, and then just take the sack or throw the ball away. Go back to instant replay, and then kind of look at what developed with the play. So if we do that with this play, we go back, let's take a look and see what happens. Well, look at the replay. One thing I want to note that's unique about this play, if you zoom into number 32, Vaughn here, you're going to see that he actually motions out and goes over to the Automotion. The formation is, I wouldn't say it's misaligned, but it's aligned to stop the single back bunch close formation. So when this guy motions out, it creates a different alignment situation. So that's one thing to note. And what I would say about that is look at the defender, because he is coming from inside part of the defensive formation. He is now I think he's in a hook zone in this scenario, right?
Yep.
Well, that's a big-time mismatch when you have a vertical pattern over the top of him where you can sneak a pass lead inside. Another thing I see in here is that looks like one of those shotgun tight style plays, Farles, where you throw inside pass lead there to Welker for a big play downfield.
If you wait for that hook zone to clear, or if it's man-to-man, you're going to get that nice inside pass lead downfield. So now they kind of have two vertical areas to defend, plus just the whole bunch concept working on the right side of the field is stressful because you have three guys that can literally go anywhere. So I like that Automotion. Now, a concept that we use all the time is to put a guy on a wheel. You see us do it with Cobb every night on the Game of the Week show. We just put the guy on a wheel route ourselves and then motion him out and snap him right here. But this is Automotion, automatically does this for you. Here he does get pressed, but then the guy releases downfield. This Automotion right here, Gibbs said it was pound for pound the best passing play in Madden 13.
Pound for pound, one up.
I am going to agree with him. It's easily the best Automotion play. I love how Welker lines in tight. I love the bunch. I love the streak. And I think it's a great overall play. It's not my favorite because I'm not a huge Automotion guy, but you can build on this so much and the ability to get this switch, and it's excellent. It's excellent. One thing you got to worry is late in the play clock, the Automotion takes some time to get out there. Obviously, we don't usually run the clock down, but that can sometimes be a factor. But overall, this play is something that you really want to check out. Gibbs, what playbook are we looking at right now?
Using the Washington Redskins playbook. And again, this is definitely something you want to take a peek at. So this would be a play where he was saying, I know he mentioned St. Louis book. You're not going to find that in there, I don't believe. But for example, let's take a look now at Automotion that you wouldn't want to use, because there are plays where you have Automotion where you don't want to use them. For example, PA end around.
And note how all three of the actions for the Automotion were the same. So you have that where you can hand off and it's PA. You have one where I'm sure you can hand it off, and then I'm sure you have one that's a fake.
Right.
So just jump back in and you see the blue Automotion.
Yeah, notice that Automotion. It was quick, right?
Yeah.
Now I know exactly what you're getting at here.
Yeah, you can just kind of tell what's happening. So here we have you have all three plays that they're meant to. The Redskins run this style of run all the time. Mm-hmm. Certain teams will always, like the Saints did this to the Giants. What they do is they always send the receiver on an end around, but they only call it an end around every now and then. And it's basically similar to like a read option if you don't have a mobile quarterback, because if you think about it, the end has to stand up. So we'll take a look.
Right.
So if you're going to run this, right, if I'm this defensive end, Dwight Freeney, and I see this guy motion, I'm like, oh, I got to stand up.
You got to stay home, right?
In theory, yeah, you got to stay home, and that takes a guy off the line of scrimmage. So the Giants used to do this when they had Sean Payton, and the Saints still do it now. So you got to stand up, but then it creates a weaker defensive line, and then. But I just don't like. You like these? I just don't think they work.
No, not on a running play. I wouldn't like it. I mean, but you can't. The thing is, you can't cancel it. So to me, this run would be sort of it's a nice little off tackle run, like a stretch. But I wouldn't want to use a run that has that auto motion. I mean, I'm not saying that it can't be effective, but I think it takes too long, and then it's kind of a tell, I guess. So, I mean, if you can get it to work, use it, I guess. But I mean, those are the type of things you want to look for when you're looking at auto motion.
So those are some auto motion factors. A couple questions.